HAR-BER prepared me for college because I was able just to take classes at an enhanced level, and it ultimately helped me understand how to study, how to manage my time, and how to be a better student. One of my favorite moments is that I was a tuba player for the HAR-BER High School band. I wanted to come back home because Northwest Arkansas has so much thriving opportunities here, and just the community has really impacted me. I'm Georgia Milham, and I'm a portrait of a Springdale graduate.
Hi, thank you for joining us for this episode of Springdale Today. I'm your host, Mary Jordan. Today we're recording from Lakeside Junior High School, where we're chatting with Sonora Elementary School East Facilitator Josh Worthy and 4th grader Bexley Powell, as well as Lakeside Junior High School East Facilitator Jamie Stallings and 9th grader Miles Boomer. Our guests have just finished talking with the International Space Station, and we're going to talk to them a little bit more about this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity today. Thank you guys for being here with me today. I sure do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Now, I know for us it was super exciting to kind of watch this experience. What was it like for you today?
Whew. It happened so fast. I guess it's 12 months planning and preparing, but that just all happened so quick.
Yeah.
Heartbeat's still way high.
Yeah, I'm not going to take my blood pressure when I get home.
Well, Josh, how did you guys go about this experience and talking with them?
Oh gosh, we always talk about how the new year for an East program starts right after spring break, and Mr. Stallings and we talk a lot. I had Miles in 5th grade, and he ends up in some text messages and email chains sometimes as well. And it's truthfully Miles' brainchild, where he's like, hey, I found this video, or I found this news article about ham radio on the International Space Station. I had heard of ham radio. I actually had a former student who, his name was Adam Montemesian, that he was really into space exploration and rockets, and he was building a ham radio back in like 8th grade. And he was talking to me about it, and I didn't understand any of it. And that's kind of how the last 12 months have gone, it's truly been the kids putting this all together. But Miles pitched the idea. He told Stallings about it. Stallings was like, hey, we're doing this. And away we went.
And away we went. And Jamie, who were the players all involved in this project?
So the 4 of us in this room, Josh had another student, Piper Walker. And then Miles initially reached out to the Bella Vista Ham Radio Club, Amateur Radio Club. Dr. Vincent Carter, he's at the U of A, and is also with the University of Arkansas Amateur Radio Club, responded back within like 20 minutes and said, yeah, we want in. And then the next thing I know, there's 3 other merry men on an email chain, and they're like, yeah, we're in. What do you need? Whatever you need. So we, Dr. Vincent Carter, Dr. Mary Harris. Dr. Harris was the guy that was running the actual contact, running the radio. And then Dr. Bill Durham is the kind of mad scientist engineer that built the antenna that put a lot of the stuff together.
And who specifically were you guys talking to today?
Astronaut Nicole Ayers.
Bexley, was the experience what you expected?
It was exciting. But also it went really fast, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be a little longer and her questions to be a lot more detailed.
Yeah, you could tell this was her first contact. She was standing in on the contact that happened last week with Japan, and it was kind of an unsuccessful contact. It was so we were really nervous. They were nervous as well, and I think what you mean by it being so quick is typically you have to fish a little bit to get that first contact. Dr. Harris got on the radio and said, hey, I'm sorry. What is it? UA? No.
KJ.
USA, or what's their call sign?
NAS.
NASS. This is KJ. Yeah. And we were all kind of like, and you can see my face because I'm holding the mic. Like you can see my face. Like, oh my gosh, first try.
Yeah, I know.
And so by that point, we're all going super, super fast. We got 22 questions in.
I think we've watched probably, I don't know, I've watched a dozen of these contacts at this point, and this is the first one I've seen where they got the astronaut on the first call.
It's usually like 10, 12, 13, 14 calls before you finally hear them.
And so the audience is stressing out because it's like, oh no. And we got it on the first one, and so everybody's like, oh, hey, this is happening.
Good for you guys. That's so cool. Now, Miles, it being your idea, how did this come about and why did you want to do this?
I've had a ham radio license since about June, July-ish of 2023. So it's been a year and a half now. Originally, like last East year, I had a project involving emergency ham radio. And, you know, truth of East is sometimes your projects aren't going to go anywhere. Like that project, I didn't think that I was going to do much with it. So we started looking at new projects. So I was basically typing in my search bar, space, radio, projects, stuff like that. And a lot of it is like school project type stuff. But eventually I came across the website for the ARISS page. And from there I just talked to Stallings about it.
Why, though, talk to space? Why that particular project?
I've been interested in space for a long while. As long as I can remember. And I think that summer, or the summer that I got my license, summer before I came to Lakeside and all that, I went to the Smithsonian. We saw the Air and Space Museum, and seeing a space shuttle with my own eyes, I think really encouraged that in me for future.
I've been there. It really is super cool to see the space shuttle. It really is. Now, Jamie, what was this year like leading up to the conversation?
Oh my gosh. It is like a frenetic pace, and then it's a hurry up and wait. We had a ton of work in the summer. So June and July, we were very busy with paper. Once we got the contact approved, very busy with paperwork, very busy with getting approvals. And then it was kind of a hurry up and wait until after Christmas. And then we started putting stuff together. We got the antenna on the roof. We started doing test runs. We've probably done a dozen test runs at this point. And we've incremented each step. So let's hook up to the radio. Let's see if the antenna rotates. Why isn't the antenna rotating? Let's see if we can track the satellites. Well, why can't we connect to the internet with a sat box? So it's been a really iterative process. It's been, telling Josh, I don't know what I'm going to do for the next few days because this isn't going to be consuming my life. And it's been great. Like, what an experience for everybody involved. But it's a lot. It's a lot of prep because everything, you have one chance. There is a 10-minute window where you have an astronaut, somebody that the U.S. has invested in sending up to space, that's going to talk to you, and so you have to make sure everything's right.
Was there some type of training too that you guys had to actually do with NASA prior to this?
Yeah, so they sent us, ARISS hosted us and a number of other folks that have done a contact at Kennedy Space Center about a month ago, where they kind of taught us. They have a STEM curriculum that's great. So Josh's wave lesson that he did during the contact came from that. I think he riffed on it a little bit, but learning how to do that, we have a device that lets us pull radio waves so we can see like the waterfall of what the waves look like. It's a really great thing. I have it on in class, just sitting there because it looks cool.
Was this quite a learning experience for the both of you as teachers as well?
It's truly become the identity of our East program. We're working on two things right now in our East program. One was this contact for the last 12 months. And then we also agreed to be a school of conservation leadership with Arkansas Game and Fish. And that's been great, but we've had to pause that since about Christmas. And so that's what I'll be working on in the next couple of months is, shifting towards game and fish. But, I look that first week of school, when East kids started coming to my class, we did a book study on ham radio in the back of the 1920s and how it was predominantly Morse code, but how this young boy, I think he was 8 or 9 years old, he communicated from New York to the Navy that was in the harbor at the time, and he's communicating back and forth messages with like their spouses, because back then there weren't cell phones, there weren't other ways to communicate, and so they're telling him, hey, this is when we're going to be on leave, have them meet me at the port here at this time. They thought he was like this 35-year-old adult. And he's like, no, I'm 9. And there was a hurricane that occurred in Florida, and he was able to communicate and coordinate some rescue efforts. And this is back in the 1920s. The kids ate that up. Our librarian, we had Read Across America, I guess 2 weeks ago. She did a big book study on space, waves, ham radio. Like, it's really taken on not only the identity of our East program, but also of our school.
All right, so how did you guys figure out which questions to ask?
I had to, I had to research the astronaut a little bit, and then I kind of figured out a little bit of her personality, and then I asked that's how I popped up with my questions.
So I put a Google form in our Google Classroom and said, hey, every one of our kids had an opportunity to put a question together. And I think I got about 300 different questions, most of them asking, how do you go to the bathroom in space? And I was like, guys, we can YouTube that. That's not a hard one. Let's find something a little more open-ended. And so really tried to push towards the kids. What are they passionate about? I loved Miles' questions because, have you ever lost anything on the International Space Station? I've lost my classroom keys 3 times today, and I haven't even been in my classroom. So, the whole vetting process was very interesting as well.
Yeah, and the kids that were going to ask questions, what do you want to ask? And so we have a list that is, I don't know, pages and pages long of questions that's been asked before. We checked that out. But we really wanted to tailor it to our kids. This is, hopefully some of these kids are going to do something where they're in space or talking to astronauts or whatever. But for most of them, it's absolutely the one chance they're going to get to ask an astronaut a question. So let's take advantage of that.
I've had my first question picked out for a while now, which was, what's the first thing you're going to do when you get back to Earth? I chose that in relation to Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore being on the space station, stranded for so many months. The other ones were more difficult to come up with, but me, Mateo, and Jay-Z, the 3 Lakeside kids, one day we were in Stallings' class, and he said, all right, you 3 just go out there and brainstorm for the whole class period. And that's how we came up with most of our questions.
It was a great list.
What were some of the answers and questions as part of that conversation? Do you guys recall, Bexley and Miles?
I remember the clothing requirement one. They mostly use cotton for fireproofing measures and stuff like that, is what they said, which seems fine to me.
She also said that, comfortable clothes.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything surprising about the conversation for you two today?
It seemed her answers were a bit less in-depth, like Bexley was saying. I was surprised that we made it through all 20. I was expecting not to make it that far, so that's good. However, at the same time, we were actively saying goodbye to her at the end, where I was kind of expecting us to go through up until we lost contact.
Typically on the other contacts that we've watched, and we've watched a dozen easily, they get to about question 12 or 14, and it's just this awkward end because they go over the horizon and you hear just the crackling of the empty airspace. We were able to send her off.
Yeah,
and
that was so cool.
I towards the end, we were able to give a question to Dr. Harris. I don't know if we were supposed to do that, but we did.
We were, I asked.
Okay, good. We gave a question to Dr. Carter, that was their childhood dreams. I'm so glad we were able to give that experience to them. But then they
Dr.
handed it to me, and I was like, all right, kids, get real loud, because she hasn't hung out with humans in a long time. Well, 2 weeks, but she's going to be up there for a minute. And I hope that was special for her, especially being All-American volleyball player. Okay, instead of a gym full of your peers and fans, you got a gym full of radio nerds getting really excited to talk to you.
Dr. Harris said he's been doing amateur radio for 66 years. He said today was the highlight of his amateur radio career. And it was, he didn't expect to get to ask a question. That was, for me, that was what was so surprising, was that we got him on the first call. It was incredibly clear. We started to lose them a little bit at the end, but we knew that was coming, and we had time to do the send-off. We had time to do the questions. And I'm so excited for those two, because the work they put in, the passion they have for this, I don't know, it was really cool that they got that opportunity.
You got to go Lakeside as well.
Yeah, we did get to go Lakeside. We're going to use that a lot.
Every single morning video.
Yep.
Right? How many people get a shout out from space? Seriously. So today we're chatting with Sonora Elementary School East Facilitator Josh Worthy and 4th grader Bexley Powell, as well as Lakeside Junior High School East Facilitator Jamie Stallings and 9th grader Miles Boomer, who are sharing with us about their experience talking with the International Space Station today. Josh, about how many students participated today?
Oh, goodness. So students asking questions, I think we had 14 or 15. But behind the scenes, we had 3 or 4 students working with the live stream. Miles has been operating the radio off and on, working backup tests and satellites. And then probably another 400 or 500 in attendance. And gosh, I can't imagine how many are watch the live stream live. The great thing is they can go back and revisit that too. So we're hoping, I know there were people watching in Little Rock. I know there were people watching in Springdale. I know there were people watching in Utah. Where's Daryl from? Georgia. So we had a few people watching in Georgia. I know tomorrow is STEM Day at the Capitol in Little Rock, and hopefully our friends at the Arkansas STEM Coalition will show that video, or at least a clip of it, because it was really, really special, and we want that footprint to be massive. We want a lot of people to experience what we did in a small way.
Me too. Hey, Jamie, what was the value of partnering with Lakeside?
I learned a long time ago, there are people that are better at things than I am. And the amount of work that we had, Josh and I made a great team. And then bringing in the ham radio folks, I think everybody, what made today work so well, and we brought in students and the facilitator from Jones Elementary. We had the facilitator from Hunt. Yes. Hunt. And so every person had their individual role. And that made, oh my gosh, that made life so much easier. I can't imagine, originally when Josh and I were talking, I think I was going to run the live stream and we were going to do this whole thing. And we realized a month ago that it wasn't going to work. And then too, being able to expose another 200 or 300 kids to this, I think the last time this happened in the state was 22, 24 years ago. And so getting as many Springdale kids in the room when it happens, that wouldn't have been possible without having Josh and Sonora. So it was kind of a no-brainer.
And then what do you two hope as teachers that the students are going to take away from this experience today?
I got a text from one of the teachers of a kid that asked a question, and he wants to go buy a radio. The kids that asked the questions were excited. I think it is so hard to picture yourself doing something that you're not exposed to. I never could see myself as a fighter pilot because I didn't know a fighter pilot or, whatever. But when you're exposed to different opportunities, it becomes more tangible. And I hope that that's what this did, that they got to hear, this is a real person. This isn't this metal box that's above us that we can see sometimes. This is a real person that talked to us, that took time out of her day to talk to us and inspire us. And I really hope it pushes some of these kids to go into engineering, to go into some of the medical fields, to go into space. That's the goal of the program. It's to inspire passion.
I think for our East program, I've got some great kids that are in 5th grade. They're going to go off to either Sonora Middle or DTSOI, and they got to experience that today. But I've got to be able to replace them. And I was able to bring a 7-year-old today, Hazel, which she did great. She didn't even know she was going to answer a question until today. We had a student that couldn't make it, and she was able to fill in. And she's been reading for 8 months, and she saw the word preparation. She's like, I got this. But she's going to be in East full time next year as a 2nd grader. And I think one thing that Stallings does really well, and the rest of our facilitators in the district, is they make sure those feeder patterns are strong. That's the empowerment, I think, of East, and what Springdale is able to offer people is, okay, we did this really cool thing. What's next? And again, it's exposing kids to things that I didn't even understand until about 6 months ago. Yeah.
So what is next? Is this the end of this experience for the students, or is there anything that you guys have following up with this learning opportunity?
I'd kind of like to take a nap.
Yeah, we didn't have much of a spring break. We were up here Thursday.
We have some of the radio equipment. I think Josh and I and some of the kids are going to work on getting a license. It's a much bigger community. It's we've really tossed around the idea of doing some stuff with emergency communications. It's something I think we have the skills now, and it's become a part of our programs that I think we'll continue to push forward with it, whatever that looks like.
And Miles and Bexley, was there anything that you guys learned from this experience that you genuinely didn't know before?
I think I didn't really know a lot in depth about how to track satellites or things like that. So being able to work with Murray and Dr. Carter and them, that was a great experience. I learned a lot about how antennas and stuff like that for tracking satellites are built and how they are programmed and things like that.
I think I learned about communication, and I learned that you don't have to be so robotic. It's still a person, and it's just, yeah.
Has this experience inspired you guys in any way?
Yeah, it kind of has. I think I would like to be in some type of technology or an amateur radio club when I'm older.
It grows my passion for space even more. I want to get more into satellite tracking at my own house and be able to use the amateur station and stuff like that that's on the ISS. And yeah.
Do either of you think you might someday want to explore maybe a career in space exploration or communications in some way?
I definitely would.
Yeah, I've wanted to be an electrical engineer for a while now and look at working in a space-based field. So.
Good for you. That's really exciting. Well, and Josh and Jamie, we get to talk about what these guys might want to do someday. But you guys have arrived. Was there aspects of this that made you feel like a little kid yourselves? I mean, who doesn't want to talk to space?
I think so. One of the experiences when we went to Kennedy, getting to see the space shuttle. Growing up, I think we're both children of the '80s, and growing up and seeing the space shuttle in person, and then, I remember as a kid going to Johnson Space Center in Houston, and they had a mock-up of the space station in a pool, and they were doing training. And I remember thinking how cool that was, and being able to, kind of facilitate this conversation for the kids today it was fantastic.
I think what Kennedy Space Center does really well, they're down there with the Disney crowd. It's really hard to top Disney. But when you go and see the Columbia, the reveal is so cool because you're watching this screen. Yeah, no spoilers. You're watching this screen and it's fantastic because by the end of it, you're close enough to touch the thing and it's there and it's larger than life. And again, as children of the 80s, it was a big deal when a space shuttle went up in the air.
Rolled the TV into the classroom.
Yeah, and that was a good day. It was either March Madness for the Razorbacks or the space shuttle launch. And I remember where I was when the Challenger exploded. My mom got really upset with me because she thought I was watching Star Wars. Mom, the spaceship exploded. No, Mom, it really did. And so it's just like, you're not supposed to be on that. But I don't know, it's just, it's cool because we get to be kids. We get to learn parallel with the kids through being next to them. Like I said, like Jamie and I, we're good at some things, but we can always turn to another student and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to do the live stream. Can you help run things today on the live stream? And they just handle it, and that's fun for me. Yeah, we got to talk to the astronauts today. I mean, that's a good day. It's a really cool day.
Hey guys, so we've talked a lot about it. Is there anything about this conversation that I'm missing that you guys really want to be sure to talk about today?
Just the thank yous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's taken a village.
And it's one of those things that can happen in Springdale because of our administration, because of the leadership and our building administration.
We just got back from spring break.
Yeah.
Like, it's Monday from spring break. We had transportation.
We didn't have a date until last Monday.
Yeah.
And at every step of the way, from building level administration to fellow teachers to district level, what do you need? And it's been shockingly smooth. So thankful for them. And then Dr. Carter, Dr. Harris, and Dr. Durham. The amount of time and worry and just incredible amounts of knowledge that they put into this for free. Didn't ask for anything, wanted to see this happen for the kids. Was really cool.
Right. Well, I was thrilled to even be a witness to it today and to chat with you guys all about it. So thank you for making time for me today. And thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Mary Jordan, and I look forward to talking to you next time about what's happening in Springdale today.
Springdale Today is a production of the Springdale Public Schools Communications Office.
The podcast is hosted by Mary Jordan and is produced and edited by Micah DeLacy.
Be sure to subscribe to Springdale Today for free on your favorite podcast platform.
And don't forget to follow Springdale Today on social media for episode updates
And behind-the-scenes conversations.
Thank you for listening. We hope you join us in the future as we continue to learn about the amazing stories happening in Springdale today.